Okay, hopefully my audio is working. We're just going to shoot this live today. Do a little Q&A type thing for the BeanSeeker. Make sure that you can see it real well. And I was just going to brew a quick ice drip. So if you're not familiar with this machine, the ice drip, it's a quite different technology, or I guess method. It's not even really technology. This makes it a little bit more technologically controlled, where with like an immersion cold brew, really you're just at the mercy of your grind size. So this is the BeanSeeker. It is an ice drip machine. This isn't like your typical immersion cold brew. So what this does is it actually has a chiller built into the top, and you prepare what's essentially a V60 style filter, and then it has a scale in the base that will detect the flow of the coffee going through it. So it's a pretty neat little machine. If you haven't really seen it, I'm sure you've probably seen it on Facebook. We've been sharing lots of pictures, but the Kickstarter is going to be tomorrow, the 19th. So if you haven't signed up for that Kickstarter yet and you're wanting to get some good deals and just be kind of first to own one of these, sign up today. We're going to launch it at 10 o'clock Central. So whatever time that is for you. It's going to be a really fun day, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So really just to get it going, I have water pre-hooked up to the back. It's just a bottle of water, and you can use a cup or a bottle of water. It's really nice to have that option. We're just going to prepare our funnel. So we have like our V60 funnel, and it comes with some of these Kaleido papers, and these are some really nice papers. So they're kind of like a cloth, really a premium quality paper. And we're just going to throw that on the top. I like to do about a 1:12 ratio on my brew. So we're going to do about 25 grams of beans today. Let's get our dosing cup out. I'm using the DS64 Gen 2. And I have it on setting 35, so you may want to do a little bit coarser, a little bit finer. It really depends on which bean you're using. So let's do 25 grams. We're just going to grind it. Hopefully you can see well. Oh, shoot. So this Gen 2's been really treating me nice. Very low static. Very fast. So let's prepare our V60 funnel. I like to put them in and then just kind of give it a shake so that you have like a nice level bed. We can move closer. Let's move up a little bit. Now, one thing that we don't normally do with like a V60 is put a filter paper on top. But the reason why I like doing that is as the very slow drip. So if you didn't have a paper on top, then you wouldn't have the water wouldn't be able to go out to the edges of the filter. So putting that on top like this, it's very simple. It comes with these papers as well as this flat. We're just going to load it into the machine. So very easy to get set up. Let's throw it up on the display so you can see me set up the machine. I think you can see that pretty well. So the one thing that I kind of tend to forget to do is when you put the carafe in, make sure to hit the 0 button. And what that's going to do is it's going to tear the scale in the base of this so that your flow control is nice and accurate. We have our extraction volume at the top, so that'll be your final volume in milliliters, and then your flow rate in milliliters per hour. So 1:12, I do about 250 out. I like about 150 to 200 on the flow rate. This will get you a cup in about 45 minutes, give or take. The water temperature, it's going to show the ambient in degrees Celsius. If you click the plus, it'll show you what the set point is. So really easy to use. Now, if you don't want the blue light on, we actually have over here where you can turn off the light and even the sound. But let's say it runs out of water or something like that. The only way for it to alert you is to beep. So if you do have that beep turned off, you may not realize that it ran out of water or something like that. But past that, it's really pretty intuitive to use. So it's as simple as preparing a V60 with an additional filter and clicking start. So once you have this set up, the parameters that you have up here, you're going to kind of figure out what you like, and you're just going to leave it at that most likely. You may end up playing with a little bit. Like the other day, I had a fermented bean, and I ended up running it a little bit fast, I felt. Let's make sure it focuses. So you can see in the beginning what it's actually doing is it's running the water quickly. And the reason for that is to pre-wet all these grounds as fast as possible. They don't want it to just be like dumped on there. But if you didn't get that, you're going to get that stream that goes down the middle. Your grounds aren't going to be pre-wet. And then you're not going to get a very even extraction. So it's going to run fast. And then when it detects flow, it's going to slow this down quite a bit. Now, like I've tried this with some flat bottom drippers, and the start is very slow. So sometimes it'll start and I'll end up actually doing the pre-wetting process twice, just because it's such a broad area of grounds that it needs that additional water. It's really not a big deal. You'll hear it beep. You just click start again and it'll go again. But if you're using this V60 style with about this many grams, you're not going to really notice that. So while this is going, pull it back, and I'm going to go look and see if there's any comments. I know we're just doing this live, and there's probably not too many people that are joining. Let's see. So do you do a higher ratio? Will the taste over extracted or watery? So in my experience, it really depends on the bean. Like I had some fermented beans the other day, and I felt like it went a little bit too slow and it was a little bit over extracted. Now it's still a fantastic cup. It was kind of like chocolate strawberry or raspberries, but I would have probably either gone a little bit faster or done a little bit more water and just kind of figured out how that coffee bean performed in this. Now I only had enough to do one of those, so that's probably my one and done on that. But as far as just like the day-to-day, some nice coffee. I mean, for the most part, it's performed pretty much the same. So V2, very low static. Yeah, it's crazy how little static this thing has. Even on a coarser setting, there's like hardly any static on this grinder. And I'm showing it next to this just because it is kind of the new grinder, and I know a lot of people have questions on it. So it's kind of a good time to showcase it at the same time. Is there a dose limit? So I would say yes, and I would probably limit it to about 35 grams of coffee. And that's really just because it is such a slow drip method that when you go with too much coffee, you're going to not get that even extraction on those outer edges. So you're really just going to be going down the middle. You're going to get a slightly over extracted extraction down the middle, and then the outsides are going to be under extracted, and it's not going to taste as good. So 35, I think, is about the most I've done in this, and it's pretty full. So have you compared the taste of the BeanSeeker to preparing over ice? For example, 60% water, 40% ice. Just making sure I understand the question. Have you compared the taste of the BeanSeeker to brewing over ice? So are you talking just making a V60 over ice, or are you talking to water this down? Just doing my side-by-side, I feel like if I did like a V60 and did like the flash chill, you're going to get that very strong kind of bitter undertone to it. Where when you have the, V60 over ice. Yeah, the V60 over ice is going to be much more bitter because, like I mentioned, when you do this V60 over ice, the two different ways that you're going to do it, you can either put a pile of ice on top and let it slowly go through. I feel like it's hard for me to put a word on the taste. It's not quite as clean maybe, and I don't really know why. I think it's just kind of a less controlled extraction, and you're going with that like extreme cold, but you're getting that like full amount of ice on top, where this is like a nice consistent drip. And I feel like having the flow control capability with the scale and the base really does do this machine kind of the next level justice that you're not going to get out of that. If you're doing like a flash chilled where you're brewing a V60 and you have like a cup of like a double insulated cup beneath, it's going to be very bitter. I have done this. I haven't done it recently because I've been enjoying this too much. So it is quite a bit different of a coffee. It's pretty strange. Sorry, I'm not in front of the camera. I'm trying to read the questions. 35 still a big dose. I agree. I try to stick with about 25 grams and do a single cup. Now, some people are like, man, this is so slow. Well, if you think about it, yeah, it is pretty slow. But like if I was going to use my toddy, let me go grab it. If I was going to use my toddy, I'm going to pre-grind a bunch of coffee. And then I'm going to let it set. Usually what I do is I take like a kettle or something and I use reusable bags. I sanitize the bag. The bottom of mine has a little, it's kind of a, God, I don't know what it is. It's a filter. And those filters, they last a few times, but they end up getting gross. You have consumables and I have to boil them to make sure that it's nice and sanitized. And then I got to wait 24 hours. So by the time I've boiled my bag and ground my coffee, I've already started a BeanSeeker. And what's cool, in my opinion, about this is like, I like starting this at dinner time and just letting it run. And then I'll put it in the fridge for the next day. And if I want to do two, I might just do another one, or I might do one overnight. The way that I prefer to drink it is to do the extraction and then put it in the fridge so that the fridge makes it extra cold, because as it's brewing over 45 minutes to an hour, it's going to become room temperature in that carafe. So no dilution from the ice. You're just getting it cold in the fridge. It's really amazing. It's very high clarity. If you go with some of these fruitier beans, absolutely fantastic. But even stuff like I have this Mexico right here. It's chocolatey. I think it's Chapas. Yes, Chapas. It's actually a natural process Mexican Chapas, and it's fantastic. You get that chocolatey undertone, but it has that like nice bright fruitiness to it as well. So very different. Let's see. Thing is gorgeous. I think it's really cool. A lot of people said it's an hourglass figure. I don't have one down here because it'd probably get broken, but I kind of have, it feels kind of a Chemex vibe to me, even though it's not. It does kind of have that Chemex hourglass shape. I think it looks pretty cool on the counter. This does come in black and white. So this is the black version. We have the white one out at a influencer right now to take some pictures and stuff. But I have like our Gen 2 here with the black. You can see over here we have this Alex Duetto. And it's just very complimentary. I feel like it looks good on my counter. My kitchen at home is white, so I kind of like the white one from my house. But what's probably most important to most people is the height of this machine is going to fit under most people's countertops, because it is 18 inches in the United States code. They, at least on newer houses, they want everything to be 18 inches or higher between your bottom of your cabinet and the countertop. So it should fit. We did make it a little bit shorter from some of the original prototypes that were like 3 or 4 inches taller. If I were to make a normal V60 with 15 grams of coffee and 250 grams of water, I would use 150 grams of brew water over 100 grams of ice. Yeah, you could do that over, like if you're doing like the ice brew with like a V60, yeah, you could totally do that. Let's see. I do a lot of cold extractions, cold espresso extraction, manual machines. The taste profile is very different with cold extraction. I agree. I'm not sure which machine you're using. You said cold extractions, cold espresso extractions. So are you talking like the ice ball or the piece of metal that a lot of people put beneath their portafilter and it makes that nice cold extraction? Yeah, they are quite a bit different. I think the difference with that is you are flash chilling it, where this is like a very nice controlled extraction on the coffee grounds never get hot. So that bitterness really goes away. Now, I think that's kind of what they're trying for with like the ice balls on the espresso machine, but it's just different yet. It's very hard unless you experience it. And I wasn't even really sure when I got this how much different it would be from like my toddy. And I can tell you it's like night and day difference from the toddy. So I was really impressed. And as I started to do more experimentation with it, it's like a must-have for me. I know we're the ones selling it, so it's kind of easy for me to say, but Joe with Espresso Outlet, he's on right now, and like the guy's hooked on the things. He has a couple different samples. He has them all running because it's just so good, and you get such a great cup of coffee. Now, I haven't done this yet, and I actually need to do this. I have a friend that sells cold brew, but another trick that he does because people like that lower acidity, but like kind of the brighter taste, is he'll take cold brew, which this isn't cold brew, this is ice drip, but he'll take the cold brew and he'll actually serve it hot. And he says that people find it to be really spectacular. So that's something that I need to try. Speaking of grinders, when are my DF83s going to ship? So we actually kind of had a fit. We talked to the customs officers and we're like, where the heck is our stuff? We have people that are very upset. I mean, we're upset ourselves. As long as they're not lying to us, they said this week. So we're praying, fingers crossed, get these this week and get them out to people as fast as we can. It's a huge frustration for us, and we have a lot of just very eager people wanting their DF83s. We got some DF64Vs and some DF64s coming. So if you haven't picked one of those up, your wait's going to be pretty short, but I do have a lot of people. They've waited far too long. That's really kind of unfortunate. So I've never tried cold extraction with espresso. I have Flare 58 and can try using cold water, but how do you get it to not under extract with cold water? I don't use a Flare 58. I mean, that is an interesting thing. I think I understand where that guy was going with it a minute ago. I've never done that. So you'll have to maybe follow up on that. Maybe Dylan can try that. I don't have a flare, so that's interesting. I don't think it's going to be very good because you're going to extract too fast and you're putting all that pressure through those grounds, but I think he's actually doing it with warmer water. At least that's what I'm speculating here. So thanks for the update. Yeah, I'm glad that you're not upset. I know a lot of people, they really are upset. A lot of people, they're very understanding. We really do appreciate that because, I mean, it's very hard on us when we want to get you something as fast as we can, and it just doesn't show up. Looks like my buddy Matt's on. What's going on, Matt? Does anyone else have any more questions? I mean, we can talk about anything. This was all about the BeanSeeker. We're doing the Kickstarter tomorrow. We're going to launch it at 10 o'clock Central Time. So kind of gives people on the East Coast and West Coast. It'll be, what time is that? It'll be about 8 o'clock on the West Coast and it'd be 9 o'clock on the East. No, it's the other way. Whatever. So 10 o'clock Central. If you're wanting to get some good deals, make sure to head over to Kickstarter and just sign up. It even helps us. We're trying to get like on the homepage of Kickstarter. I think that'd be really cool, even if you're not going to buy. But I think there's a couple of doorbuster deals that you should sign up for. We haven't discussed price, so I probably can. Right now, it's $3.99. That's the price that we're planning to sell this at. It is a more premium product. It might not come through the camera that way. It does have a very nice and touchy scale in the base. So the scale costs quite a bit of money. It does come with this carafe. It does come with the V60 style filter holder. It comes with 100. Let me grab them. 100 of these Kaleido cloth papers. They're the 01 size, and I don't have them in front of me. They're actually behind. They come with 100 of the AeroPress filter papers for the top. So you get a pretty nice bundle. You're pulling it out of the box. There's really nothing else that you need to get this going, except for coffee and some water. So $3.99. We are going to have, I think, 6 of them for $100. We got some of them for like $250. So those are going to be the very good doorbuster deals. Thanks for signing up, Matt. I may have missed it, but can I use a flat bottom in it? Yes. So I don't have one here. I actually tried the Pulsar in it. The Pulsar is brand new, but you can use other styles. So like Dylan, he's tried it with He has an April dripper, so it uses the flat bottoms, kind of like in your normal perk pot. You can use like your normal V60. So like if you want like a white on white, you can actually have like the white with this, or you can go with a ceramic. Maybe you break that. I put the pulsar in. The thing with the pulsar and some of these flat bottoms is, since there is such a big area at the base of the filter, it doesn't quite get enough pre-wetting water. So I usually end up pre-wetting it twice. And it'll think that there's no water coming through. You just hit start again. It's good to go. I'd like to try some. I feel like the flat bottoms, they run faster. So your extraction is going to be a little bit different, but the few that I've done with the pulsar have been really fantastic. I haven't taken very many pictures because I usually leave this here and I have the pulsar at my house. I have tried with just the regular V60. It tastes identical. I don't have any others like a Lily drip or anything like that. I love pour over stuff, but I just kind of stick with what I like. It does have this glass carafe. I know the manufacturers, they use like a lot of just like to-go cups, which I think is pretty cool. You can just put it in there, put a lid on it, have it to go. The one thing that is really cool that we added to this, let me come over here. When you pull the carafe out, it may drip a few times because these grounds are still wet. But if you're standing over here, it's actually not dripping anymore. And when you put the pot back in, it starts dripping again. So if you're kind of mid-extraction and you're wanting to pull it out or you're wanting to check on it, what was happening in some of the prototypes is it would think that you're done, and then it wouldn't want to restart, and then it kind of lose its place. So now when you pull it out, it's not going to lose its place. It's just going to keep going. Now, if you're to pull it out and like pour most of it out, it's not going to really know where the extraction is. So it's going to keep going till